Hello, it's Charles with Uber Eats. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of February, 2026. And I am blessed and grateful because I received the precious gift of tomorrow with God's wake-up call. And I got to see another day here in beautiful, sunny, warm Tampa, Florida. And you woke up this morning with God's wake-up call, and you also received that precious gift of tomorrow and got to see another day here on earth. I'm blessed and grateful for everything the good Lord has given me, in addition to another day here on earth. I went to bed last night in the camper being blessed for everything I've got. I'm relatively healthy for a 50-year-old guy. I get to enjoy all the food I want here in Tampa, Florida, anytime I want. The weather is fantastic here, beautiful weather, sunny, and I'm building a fantastic business with Uber Eats here in Tampa, Florida, where I've got all the work I can handle, and I'm able to set some money aside for my retirement, afford the rent, food, insurance, car gas, upkeep on my car. I just recently bought a new car, so I am blessed and grateful that God put me in this time and place here in Tampa, Florida, where I'm able to do all that. God is good, God is great, always and always. Amen. The time right now is 4:06 a.m. and according to weather-atlas.com, the sun will rise today at 6:56 a.m. That's 2 hours and 50 minutes from now. And according to that website, weather-atlas.com, the sun will set this evening at 6:28 p.m. So Tampa will enjoy over 11 hours and 32 minutes of daylight today. I'm sitting up at my normal spot. I'm sitting outside here at the Circle K at my normal pump and enjoying a wonderful, somewhat cool morning. It's not as cold as it has been the last several mornings. It's starting to warm up again. It's tolerable, let's put it that way. I'm hoping the skies clear up in the next few days and the next week and aren't as overcast as they are overnight. I would have expected to be able to see the stars and the moon this morning when I got up, because there weren't many clouds in the sky yesterday. The humidity was very low and there wasn't hardly a cloud in the sky, but looking up at the sky this morning, I can't see the moon or hardly any stars. I'm hoping that changes by the 3rd of next month is our next full moon. It's the worm moon. And it's going to be, I thought this was a rare occasion where a lunar eclipse coincides with a full moon, but it's not as rare as you would think, as I thought it would be. That's our next worm moon is also going to be a lunar eclipse. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully I can see it. If the cloud cover allows me to. But speaking of how often that happens, the last lunar eclipse that also fell on a full moon was back in 2022, so it happens more often than I thought. I've been inside already and I got my free cup of ice in my Starbucks cup. See that? Nearly to the top. I left about half an inch to an inch. And this morning, I grabbed the wild berry tea flavor of my Monster Rehab Revive, Refresh, Recover wild berry flavor. And with today being the 25th of February, 2026, and this can says L2511. L is the 12th letter of the alphabet. So this can was made December the 11th of last year. So this can is 2 months and 14 days old. I'm going to go ahead and get it cracked open here. It's pretty cold. It's been sitting in the camper. That's all of it. To see if it's how good it is ice cold. See if this can's any good. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. I went on to Gas Buddy and AAA this morning to find out about gas prices in the state of Florida, the average prices of gas in Florida and the average price of gas in the United States. And gas has also I've checked the gas prices here at the Circle K. They've went up. They went up 15 cents from yesterday. This morning they're at $2.89. That's another big jump, a recent jump. It jumped about 30 cents a week or more ago. Now it's jumped back up again, up to $2.89. And the average price of gas in Florida, AAA and Gas Buddy is saying the average price of gas in Florida has also went up 6 cents to $2.90. So this Circle K is better than the Florida state average by a penny, only a penny. And the national price of gas, average prices went up 2 cents to $2.97. So this Circle K is better than the national average by over 8 cents. If I recall, gas prices were cheaper at the camper than here. I think it was $2.96 or $2.97. So it was slightly cheaper at the Circle K by my camper, which is an unusual circumstance. I didn't have any movement on any of my numbers, at least those 5 metrics that go into play a role in determining my customer satisfaction score. All of those are still the same. The deliver with care is still at 665. Friendly score, I have 587 people responded there that I'm a friendly delivery driver. Quick and efficient is still at 577. Good communicator, 571. And perfect handoff, I have 549 people responded that I delivered food to their door with a perfect handoff. But those 5 metrics, those 5 measurements of performance, 4 measurements of performance, customer satisfaction is still at 99%. My canceled percent is still at 0. My acceptance score went up 1% to 85. And I arrived at stores and customers' homes on time 96% of the time yesterday. That's an improvement by 1% from Monday's business. Other than going to that website, weatheratlas.com, to find out about sunrise time and sunset time, I also looked into what it had to say about today's weather in Tampa. And this is what it said about, I wrote this part down yesterday. It said sunshine and minimal clouds is in the outlook for Tampa on Wednesday. Expect a high of 72 and a low of 52 with winds out of the southwest at 9 miles an hour. There's only a 3% chance of rain in Tampa, so it's not likely I'll see any rain today. And then I asked Meta AI last night about the weather for today, and this is how it responded. It said Tampa's forecast for Wednesday, February 25th is looking great. Expect abundant sunshine with a high of 71 and a low of 51. That's 1 degree off what weatheratlas.com said. Winds will be gentle at 5 to 10 miles an hour out of the southwest. No rain is expected, it said. And then I went on to those 2 YouTube pages, 10 Tampa Bay and Fox 13 Tampa Bay. 10 Tampa Bay, this time around, had meteorologist Courtney Jacobazi on there. And she says winds will be much calmer today, Wednesday, compared to where they were Monday and Tuesday. Possible patchy frost is expected over the bay Wednesday morning, especially in the northern parts of the bay, she said. Significant rain on Saturday is expected this coming weekend, with upwards of almost a half an inch of rain. So we're going to have another, she didn't mention a cold front, but I suppose that's also going to be a cold front, so it might be chilly Sunday morning when I wake up. She says, Courtney went on to say that we can expect a high of 70 and a low of 44 degrees going into Thursday morning. Wednesday is going to be sunny, she said, all day. And then on Fox 13 Tampa Bay, meteorologist Dave Osterberg was on this YouTube broadcast. He says that every day this week we'll see temperatures ticking upwards going into the weekend. Chilly frost in the northern counties Wednesday morning. A high of 70 and a low of 44. Sunny skies and very dry. He described Wednesday as sunny and very dry. Wednesday. I bought my Powerball ticket. I think I bought it at 6:54 last night at the camp at that Circle K by my camper. And according to this, the jackpot is at 218 million for tonight. I also checked the mega jackpot. It didn't get hit last night, and Friday's jackpot is up into the 400s. I think it was like 458 million. If it doesn't get hit Friday, I may end up playing the next drawing of the mega, which would be Tuesday. If it's assuming it's up over 500 million, if it's up over 500 million, I'll play it for Tuesday. Absolutely. I wrote down all the deliveries I completed for yesterday, the 24th of February, Tuesday, and it looks like I did 16 trips and probably had 22 or 23 customers, I'm assuming. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I had 21 customers, it looks like, from the looks of it. I started out the day picking up Burger King, a breakfast at Burger King for Angela. This was the East Fowler location of the Burger King. Angela, her fare was $2.48, and I earned a tip from Angela of $4. Thank you so much for the $4 tip, Angela. I really appreciate that. That was generous and kind of you. I made $6.58 on Angela's trip. Then after dropping off Angela's Burger King order, I went on trip number 2 for Tanya. Tanya wanted foxtail coffee at the Dale Mabry Highway location. Tanya's fare was $4.36. And Tanya tipped me $3.70, so I made $8.06 on Tanya's foxtail order. Thank you, Tanya, for the $3.70 tip. I really appreciate that. And then I went on trip number 3 for Rihanna. Rihanna wanted Kiki breakfast at the Citrus Plaza location. Rihanna's fare was $2, and Rihanna decided to tip me $5.86. Thank you so much for the nearly $6 tip, Rihanna. I really appreciate that. You didn't have to tip me anything, but you did. I appreciate that. I made $7.86 on Rihanna's order. Thank you so much for the business and the tip, Rihanna. I appreciate you. I appreciate your kindness. Number 4 was a McDonald's pickup. Steve wanted McDonald's from the Ehrlich Road location. His fare was $2, and Steve tipped me $4.67. I made $6.67 on Steve's order. Thank you for the McDonald's business and the tip, Steve. I really appreciate that. And then I had this was a double from Starbucks. Actually, it was a triple. It started off as a double with Frida and Kim, but then while I'm waiting there, just before I'm about to leave, I didn't quite leave the store yet, another order came through on the app, and I went and picked it up. It wasn't that add-on didn't necessarily pay very well, and I wouldn't have taken it if it was just a single, but I was already there, so it was a bonus. I considered that a bonus for that trip. So Kate, I added on Kate. Frida and Kim. I went there to pick up Frida and Kim's order, and Kate's order came in while I was still there. So for picking up Frida's, Kim's, and Kate's order, I earned a fare of $7, and they tipped me $5. So I'm screwing that up. That 7 wasn't related to my pay. I earned a fare of $5, and the tip was $8.84, so I made $13.84 for that triple. Thank you so much, Frida, Kim, and Kate, for the generous, nearly $9 tip. I appreciate the 3 of you. Then I went on a single for Vic. Vic wanted food and energy drinks from the Wawa on Waters Avenue. His fare was $2 and he tipped me too, so I made $4 on Vic's order. Thank you for the $2 tip, Vic. I appreciate you. After dropping off Vic's order, I went on trip number 7. This was a double. Arlo wanted El Jefe Cafe off of Gun Highway, and Lisa wanted Culver's picked up from Citrus Park. Lisa and Arlo, I earned a fare of $3.89 for picking up their food, and they tipped me $6.69. So I made $10.58 on that double. Thank you, Arlo and Lisa, for the $6.69 tip. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fare I earned, nearly $4. I appreciate the both of you, Arlo and Lisa. Then I went on a single. Number 8 was a Chick-fil-A order. Desi wanted Chick-fil-A off of West Hillsboro. I made a fare of $2 and Desi tipped me $2.08, so I made $4.08 on that trip. Thank you, Desi, for the $4.08 and the $2 tip. I appreciate that. Then I went to, this is a place I don't recall ever being to before. I'm fairly sure I've never picked up food there. I would have remembered writing this down. Wooden Ladle. A place called Wooden Ladle was trip number 9 off of Tampa Road. Max and Pat, their fare was $6.15 for picking up their Wooden Ladle order, and they decided to tip me nearly $8. They tipped me $7.90. I made $14.05 for picking up their food. Thank you, Max and Pat, for the nearly $8 tip. I really appreciate that. Then trip number 10 was another order, another place I've never picked up before. I'm certain of this. I would have remembered this place. It's a place called Addicted to the Bean. It's a coffee place off of East Bay Street. This was for Donnie. Donnie's fare was $2, and he tipped me $3 for picking up that order at Addicted to the Bean. It was 2 coffees, as I recall. I think it was an iced coffee and a hot coffee. Donnie's fare was $2, and he decided to tip me $3. So I made $5 for picking up Donnie's coffee order. Thank you for the business and the tip, Donnie. I really appreciate that. And then trip number 11 was another single. This was for Christopher. Christopher wanted Miku Ramen, M-I-K-U, Miku Ramen on Almerton Road. Chris was generous and tipped me $6.27 on a fare of $2, so I made $8.27 on Chris's order. Thank you so much for the very generous and kind tip. A good tip of $6.27. Thank you so much, Chris, for that. And then I went on, this looks like a double. Yeah, trip number 12 was a double for Brianna and Amber. Brianna wanted Island Times Caribbean Restaurant and Lounge on Martin Luther King, and Amber wanted Pepos Cuban Cafe on 4th. Amber and Brianna, they tipped me $3.50, and I made a fare of $6.55. I made $10.05. I anticipated, I think it was that Pepos Cuban order. I anticipated that Amber might not be tipping me for that order. She put in her delivery remarks that she waits to tip until the order is completed, and she evaluates the service and then tips accordingly. That's not exactly how she phrased it, but that's a message that she was getting across. She waits until after the delivery is completed, then she decides what to tip, which is fair. But I had a little bit of a problem delivering her food. I'm going to say it was 50% a me problem and 50% a her problem, Amber problem. In the description of her place, it wasn't a budget inn. It was something else. She described it as a budget inn, but that's not where she was staying. It was called something else. I'm not going to say what it was. It was another extended stay place, which I've stayed at those too, But and another problem that was in her, that she had in her, that was a her problem. She wrote down that she was in an apartment 305 or 306. It was on the 3rd floor. There were no 3rd floor apartments in that place. They were all 100s and 200s. It was only a 2-story place. So she gave bad delivery instructions. I pulled in there and I thought I was in the wrong place for 2 reasons. It wasn't named correctly in the app, you know, and her apartment number was incorrect. There were, you know, her directions led me to believe that that place had a 3rd story and it didn't. So I wrote it, I texted her back. I said, I must be in the wrong place. I think I need to go next door because I can't find you. And your apartment says it's 300 and something, and there aren't any 300 apartments in here. And she texted me right back. I texted her in there where I was, and she said, you're in the right place. Come to the back. And I came to the back. She said, my boyfriend will be out there in a white t-shirt. And sure enough, he was back there. And I even mentioned to him, I said, I don't see any 300 apartments back here. And I just left it alone after that. But she ended up tipping me. So it all worked out in the end. I think she used to live in an apartments that were called that. And she used to live in an apartment that was in 300s. And she never updated the app, I think was the problem there. But I got paid, so I guess it all worked out in the end, I suppose. But after dropping off Amber's Pepos Cuban Cafe order, I went on to pick up IHOP. Trip number 13 was an IHOP order at the Park Boulevard location. This was for Nicole. Nicole was very generous and tipped me nearly $9. She tipped me $8.93. Thank you so much for the very generous, nearly $9 tip, Nicole. I really appreciate that. I made $10.93 on that order, that IHOP order. It was a very short delivery too. So thank you so much, Nicole. I really appreciate that. Then trip number 14 was Floridian Cuban sandwiches on 107th Avenue for Stuart. Stuart tipped me $5.89, and I made a fare of $2. So I made $7.89 for Stuart's order. Thank you so much for the $5.89 tip, Stuart. I really appreciate that. Then trips number 15 and 16 was for Ann and Kenny. Ann wanted Hooters off of Boardwalk Place. Ann tipped me $9 for picking up her Hooters order. I made $11 on her order. Thank you for the $9 tip, Ann. I really appreciate that. And then I ended the day with trip number 16. Kenny wanted me to pick up Tropical Smoothie Cafe on 34th Street. Kenny's fare was $2 and he tipped me $4. So I made $6 for picking up Kenny's order. Thank you, Kenny, for the $4 tip. And again, thank you so much for the $9 tip, and I really appreciate that. Well, I'm going to get off here and go into McDonald's and get my breakfast here in a little bit. God bless you all, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye for now. Hope you're having a great week like I am.